Hi, very good morning. I am Dr. Janak Patel, MD, General Physician. In continuity with the previous topics, that is oral hypoglycemic agent, I have already discussed regarding metformin, incretins, SGLT2 inhibitors. Now today I am going to discuss regarding one of the molecule which is slowly getting out of market and it is under use, that is pioglitazones. It is a good molecule, but because of some of the side effects, slowly the use of this molecule has been reducing day by day. We call thiazolidinons, that is pioglitazones and rosiglitazones. In short, we call glitazones. So we have got two groups of molecule in this. One is pioglitazone and other is rosiglitazones. So these are thiazolidinons, but in short we call pioglitazones or glitazones. We'll be discussing under these headings introduction, mechanism of action, side effects, indications and contraindications. We have got two groups, pioglitazones and rosiglitazones, and there is one more molecule in a rosiglitazone group, that is called troglitazones. This belongs to one common molecule, that is thiazolidinone, which is commonly used in type 2 diabetes mellitus, and it is a molecule with 5,4,2,5-ethyl 2-dipyridinilyl ethoxyphenyl methyl 2,4-thiazolidinones. Very odd way to remember those, but we can remember thiazolidines. It is basically a oral anti-diabetic drugs, belongs to thiazolidine groups. We have got two molecules, pioglitazone, rosiglitazones. They act via PAPR gamma receptor, which is present in liver, muscle and adipose tissue. PAPR gamma is peroxisome proliferator activator receptor gamma, which is present in liver, muscle and adipose tissue. So by acting at that particular receptor, it regulates the gene related to glucose and lipid metabolism, and by acting at that receptor it increases the insulin sensitivity. Hence it acts on liver, it acts on muscle and it acts on fat cells. In liver it increases the insulin mediated glucose uptake by almost 30 to 50%, and thus it will also reduce the blood sugar level, and it also pioglitazone activates PAPR gamma receptor, by which it decreases the triglyceride level, it increases the HDL cholesterol level, decreases plasma fatty acid level, and this decreasing in triglyceride level, increasing in HDL level is beneficial. So this is considered as additional pleiotropic benefit of pioglitazones. So pioglitazones will be acting on the liver, muscle and fat cells. So it is acting on these trait tissues and it increases the response of insulin. So it is called insulin sensitizer. So it increases in insulin sensitivity, and it also increases adiponectin production, and it decreases TNF alpha and leptin levels, by which it is also acting indirectly on fat metabolism. So pioglitazone is going to act on peroxisome proliferator activated receptor gamma, which is present in adipose tissue, muscle and liver. So it is acting at the fatty acid transporter protein. It acts at the blood flow receptor, and it also inhibits lipoprotein lipase. And by acting at these three levels, it will be acting on a free fatty acid level, triglyceride level, also on glucose. So it increases the uptake of glucose by acting at the GLUT4 level. By acting at the lipoprotein lipase level, it converts triglyceride into free fatty acids, and these free fatty acids will be uptaken by the cell, and thus it also improves the lipid as far as HDL level is concerned and triglyceride level is concerned. So when it acts on that PAPR gamma receptor, it activates the gene expression, cell signaling, which is inside the nucleus of a cell, and thus it increases the insulin sensitivity. So acting at the adipose tissue, it shifts the visceral fat to subcutaneous fat, and it lowers the free fatty acid level, reducing the insulin resistance. Acting at the muscle level, it increases the glucose uptake and increases the utilization of glucose by acting at the GLUT4 receptor. In liver, it decreases the glucose production and it increases the uptake of glucose by the liver cells. At the level of pancreas, it improves the beta cell function. As far as the lipid profile is concerned, it decreases the TG level, it increases the HDL level. But rosiglitazone will increase LDL level as well as HDL level, and this elevation of LDL level is not beneficial. Acting at the blood vessel level, it lowers the blood pressure by reducing the inflammation and producing vasodilatation. And this is the entire benefit what you get additional, we call pleiotropic benefits, apart from decreasing the glucose level. So acting on the adipose tissue level, it increases the adipogenesis, increases the free fatty acid uptake, lipogenesis, increases glucose uptake, decreases TNF alpha, resistin level, and increases the adiponectin level. By all this, it decreases the insulin resistance because the amount of free fatty acid level is being reduced. And at the muscle level, because of decrease in the free fatty acid level, it resets the glucose fatty acid cycle and it increases the glucose uptake by the muscle and thus decreases hyperglycemia. As well as at the liver level, it decreases the gluconeogenesis, and by decreasing in a gluconeogenesis, it decreases the hyperglycemia, means it helps in reduction in the glucose level. As well as free fatty acids, this free fatty acids will not be converted into glucose or glycogen. All this will be beneficial as far as glucose level is concerned and as far as the fat metabolism is concerned. So acting at the liver level, muscle level increases the insulin action. In pancreas, it increases the beta cell mass and increases the insulin secretion. At liver, decreases the free fatty acid level, increases the insulin action and decreases the glucose production. By all this multiple mechanism and at adipose tissue level, increases the free fatty acid uptake and decreases the lipolysis. By this, these are all the beneficial effect. Main effect is glucose lowering, decrease in free fatty acid level. As far as LDL is concerned, there may be slight increase in LDL level, slight increase in HDL level, but increase in LDL level is more common with rosiglitazone rather than pioglitazone. It increases the adiponectin level, decreases TNF of alpha, by which it will reduce the inflammation. It also increases this inflammatory marker like CRP, etc. So these are all the beneficial effects. So it is well established regarding the additional benefit, or we call pleiotropic effect. It decreases the 47% of secondary stroke in the patient with previous stroke, and it has been proved in a proactive trial. There is also reduction in the carotid intima media thickness, which was shown in a Chicago trial. There is also reduction in a liver, that is reduction in the inflammation and necrosis in a NASH, non-alcoholic steatohepatitis, and there is a decrease in 50% risk of hepatocellular carcinoma. Also, it reduces MI, stroke, and death in a patient with CKD. It was shown in a proactive trial. It also decreases microalbuminuria in quartet trial, and decrease in 51% mortality in person who are on hemodialysis. It was also seen in this US. And as far as reinfarction is concerned, it reduces the 28% of reinfarction in a patient with previous MI, and that's what's seen in proactive trial. 37% of acute coronary syndrome were also reduced, almost 37% after previous MI, and that was also seen in proactive trial. And it stops the progression of coronary atherosclerosis in periscope trial. These are all the things which you can see, and this shows that there is an additional benefit, or we call pleiotropic benefit, as far as heart is concerned, kidney is concerned, cerebrovascular stroke is concerned. In all this there is a benefit, and also in as far as atherosclerotic progress is concerned. So this has been proven by action at the level of PAPR gamma receptor by acting at the adipose tissue, muscle and liver, and also acting at the alpha receptor. It increases the free fatty acid uptake, fatty acid oxidation, decrease in TG level, and also decrease in the anti-inflammatory mediators. So primary alpha effect is to improve the plasma lipid profile, and primary gamma effect is to improve the insulin sensitivity. Both these effects are seen. Particularly in case of a pioglitazone, gamma activity is more as compared to alpha activity. But there is one molecule which is called saroglitazar. This molecule has got more of alpha activity as compared to gamma activity. Hence, there will be reduction in a glucose level, but more effect will be on a lipids metabolism. And that is additional benefit of this particular molecule in a person who is diabetic with dyslipidemia. So it becomes a drug of choice in a person who has got a diabetic plus hyperlipidemia. There is a slight benefit as far as pioglitazone molecule is concerned, which has got more of insulin sensitivity effects than reduction in a lipid metabolism. So you have got two molecules, one which is acting on alpha and one which is acting on PAPR gamma. So fibrates are acting on alpha receptors, and it will help in improving the dyslipidemia. while rosiglitazone and pioglitazones will be acting at the PAPR gamma, which will help to regulate the glucose metabolism as well as slight effect on fat metabolism. So glucose intolerance and type 2 diabetes mellitus, this will be the drug of choice, and additional benefit of fat metabolism. So this is called dual papa gamma effect, acting at alpha receptor as well as gamma receptor. And hence this will be one of the drug in case of metabolic syndrome. Saroglitazar will have more effect on alpha, and pioglitazone and rosiglitazone will have more effect on gamma receptors. Now, as far as side effect is concerned, there is water weight gain, which is increase in body weight, and that will aggravate congestive heart failure. Hence, pioglitazone is not to be used in a person who are having heart failure with reduced ejection fraction, as well as you have to keep a watch in a person who has got preserved ejection fraction. So it should be used with caution in any person who is having a high risk for person to go into congestive heart failure, or person who already had a congestive heart failure in past should not be on pioglitazones. As well as in female, there is a very high chance of increased incidence of bone fractures. This is because of bone thinning leading to osteoporotic fractures. There is also increased risk of infection, numbness, visual impairment, and weight gain. This will be the points which you have to keep it in mind while putting any person on pioglitazone. But this too becomes the main contraindication because of these side effects, which are likely to increase the morbidity as well as mortality. That is, increased incidence of congestive heart failure and increased chance of bone fracture, particularly in female and postmenopausal female. So fluid retention, weight gain, macular edema. This is also one of the conditions which can end up, that is macular edema will be one of the another side effects, but the major side effects will be fluid retention. Almost it is in 10% of the patient and can precipitate heart failure, and there is both combined effect of fluid retention as well as total body fat mass, and that increases the body weight. So incidence of fluid retention, edema and weight gain is nearly double when the pioglitazone is used with insulin. So whenever you give pioglitazone along with insulin, there is a chance of increase in body weight. Other which are side effects but not much significant, but still you have to keep a watch, that is headache, sinusitis, myalgia, abdominal pain, edema, we already mentioned, flatulence, dark urine, fatigue, weight gain we already mentioned, bony fractures, hypoglycemia and dizziness. These are some of the other common side effects. Chronic use invariably ends with the bone fractures. But because of the hepatic failure, you will have abdominal discomfort, dark colored urine, anorexia and fatigue. That is quite common because of effect on liver. Hence, any person who has got a chronic liver disease or person who has got a high chance of having liver impairment like chronic alcoholic, pioglitazone be used with caution. So absolutely contraindicated in a person with a congestive heart failure because it will lead to fluid retention, edema and aggravate congestive heart failure. So you should keep a watch whenever a pioglitazone is there and a person has got a high tendency to go into congestive heart failure. There is one another odd side effect which has been mentioned, that is bladder cancer. So pioglitazone can end up with bladder cancer. It can also produce in a premenopausal and ovulatory cycle. and there is a risk of pregnancy. Hence, this has to be kept in mind, particularly when it is continued in a female patient. So, main indication is in a type 2 diabetes mellitus, very rarely utilized as a monotherapy. But one advantage, it is partly renal friendly. There is a slow onset of action and maximum action develops after 1 to 3 months. So you will have to wait for a full effect for at least minimum 2 to 3 months. Most commonly it is combined with, it is used as a combination therapy with metformin, sulfonylurea or with insulin. And we have already mentioned that when it is used with insulin, there is a very high chance of gaining body weight. So you must keep a watch whenever it is used with insulin. Also with sulfonylurea, there will be a chance of increase in body weight gain. But when combined with metformin, that particular effect is partly nullified by metformin. But still, you have to keep an eye on weight gain. By and large, the tablets which are available is 15 milligram, 30 milligram tablets are available. You can go from 15 milligram up to 45 milligram. So maximum dose is 45 milligram. But higher the dose, the chances of side effects will become more, particularly of bone fractures and water retention, or we call body weight gain. The chances increases. Now pioglitazone is absolutely contraindicated in stage 3 and stage 4 heart failure cases. It should not be used in a heart failure, fluid retention, and if there is a blood in your urine or if there is a osteoporosis, and particularly during pregnancy. By and large, pioglitazone should not be combined with insulin. And if at all, if you combine, you should keep a close watch on a body weight gain. As well as pioglitazone should not be used in a person with a severe liver disease, particularly we call chronic liver disease. Classical example is cirrhosis of liver. So in summary, advantage, by and large, not a very powerful hypoglycemic agent. So chances of hypoglycemia is less. May be useful in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Main disadvantage is weight gain and fractures. Another disadvantage is edema and exacerbation of congestive heart failure is the main disadvantage. Rosiglitazone will increase the LDL level and even TG may be slightly elevated, and hence there is an increased chance of MI, particularly with rosiglitazones. Hence slowly the rosiglitazone is almost out of market. You can use this particular molecule with insulin, with metformin, etc. But when you use with insulin, there is always increased chance of weight gain. This should be kept in mind. So complete summary wise, we have already mentioned that it increases the insulin sensitivity, no hypoglycemia, increase in HDL level, decrease in TG, and it is also beneficial in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Disadvantage, weight gain, edema, heart failure, bony fractures, and particularly rosiglitazone can end up with myocardial infarction. Cost is not high in India, but still it is higher than what we call sulfonylurea and metformin. So regarding rosiglitazones, we already mentioned that there is an increase in LDL level. All other side effects like weight gain, edema, fractures, heart failure are very common, as well as increase in cardiovascular event because of LDL level elevation. So there is a warning on a cardiovascular safety. So this molecule is almost gone from the market. So I end my lecture here. So thank you all for taking out time. I know that your time is valuable and I appreciate for spending some of the time with me. This molecule is a good molecule if used properly. It definitely improves the insulin sensitivity and it is good in combination with metformin, and it has got a little additional benefit as far as protection in a cerebrovascular stroke, improvement in lipid profile, particularly by pioglitazones, because it increases the HDL level, decreases the TG level. So that is partially beneficial, but you must keep it in mind regarding contraindication in female, postmenopausal female, during pregnancy, person who are having grade 3 and grade 4 heart failure, or we call reduced ejection fraction. And also you should be cautious in the person if you use along with insulin, and there is a very increased chance of bone fractures and weight gain. So see you in next lecture. If you feel that this is helpful to you, please press button like, give me some suggestions so that I can improve, and if you feel that is beneficial to your friends, etc., you can share with your friends. So see you in next lecture.